Hello there, folks. Today we're going to talk about how it's never too late. Never too late. Today we're going to be exploring, and talking a little bit about me in terms of picking up where I left off creatively. The thought just came to mind, and and this whole conversation was triggered by me running into someone at a meeting that I was attending that once again says, "Yeah, I was watching your shows on LinkedIn." And I'm always like, "Oh my God, here we go again." Like, I am hearing so much of that more and more that it just never ceases to amaze me. And so it's also to me now little breadcrumbs of like, and this is why you need to return to this. But before we get into all of that, I want to ask you to make sure to hit the thumbs up, the like button, and subscribe so that this can go out to more people who might be interested in hearing this conversation and moving things forward as we grow this platform. So, I think I've shared before. A couple of different things. First, I have this long standing series called Coffee Time Career Chat that I'd been doing for years. Like, I think I said almost at least 9 years. I don't know. It's a long time. And I was doing it at first on Facebook, is where I first started because that's what existed, right? Just doing Facebook videos. And those videos were horrid. I've seen some of them now. I'm like, oh my gosh, the sound was horrible. The visuals were horrible, but I did it because the content is fire. And I have used that content over and over down through the years. And then as the technology and different options and things like that advance, I remember wanting to get that LinkedIn. Um, I forgot what it was called, but basically so that I could do the videos on LinkedIn because everyone didn't get that option back when it was getting started. And I remember waiting and applying and waiting, and then I finally did. And so that was fantastic because then I could push those videos directly to LinkedIn, with their LinkedIn Lives. That's what it's called, LinkedIn Lives. And so I was streaming them to YouTube then, but not primarily. It was really just kind of as backup, just being honest. I was streaming them to YouTube. I was really wanting to focus on LinkedIn and I wanted to focus on Instagram, but back then you couldn't stream because of the orientation and all that. I think they fixed that now, but the goal was to, chop them up and use them as clips or something like that, which I really didn't get to till years later. So I was just really pushing it, and so a lot of people who saw and Facebook. So it was my Facebook business page and LinkedIn were the primary places where you could pick it up because again, it was on YouTube, but I wasn't pushing YouTube. It was really much more for storage or for me to be able to go say, "Oh yeah, if someone asks me about something, go check this out and I can share the link." Which is why we're doing this completely different. And the shifting in this process has been like turning a boat around. I can't wait to actually document that part of the process. So again, I was moving along. I was doing them once a week before. Actually, probably more than because for a short period of time, I always tell people I was doing them twice a week because I started off with, I think, Wednesdays. It was about networking Wednesdays because that's my thing. Talking about building relationships and how to leverage them and how to strengthen your skills in doing that. And then I expanded it also to Mondays. And so, where I was really much more talking about career development issues, not related, not specifically, networking and relationship building, but much more in leadership and your skill sets, and then also some of the personal aspects of it, right? Of like, your own personal accountability and different things that would come up, your confidence, all of that. And so those things move along. Well, somewhere in there, now that I think about it, because I actually forgot, there was a third day, but the third day was within my private Facebook community that I used to have. And so I would do some stuff in there. So I was pushing out a lot of content, a lot. And I have most of it as far as video. I am positive if I don't have it in video, then I definitely have written transcripts. Not transcripts, but my notes from when I would start, because I always have some notes that I work from, even if it's just bullet points. So I always have that. And I just kept going. And I shared, I think, in a different video about the length of time, and then how I had to start pulling back because I was getting tired and a little burnt out, and trying to figure out, like, well, what am I really going to do? Like, what's next? Because I really hadn't worked all the way through what that looked like. I knew there needed to be a next. I just didn't know what it was going to be and in what format. And so I took off. I took off 2025, but I people did not know I took off because I repurposed all of my videos. Well, I didn't repurpose all of them because it turns out I have a lot more than I realized. But I repurposed my old content in 2025, still at the rate of 2 times a week, and streamed them. Still streaming to, and streamed them to LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, such that people didn't know that I'd taken the time off. Because, and this was the thing, the stuff that I feel like, oh my God, this has been done before, whatever. First of all, most of the time when I used that content, it was one and done, right? So it's once and then I moved on. So that's how much new content I was developing. Then, even when I started repurposing a little bit, like over the summers or in December for the holidays, it was still only like a handful of videos that was getting repurposed. So in 2025, to go back and repurpose basically for the entire year was like, wow. And I'm very proud of that project. Again, something else I need to document and go through what that actually looked like. But such that even some of my folks that normally might have followed me or whatever, they didn't realize it. And the lessons we learn, right? That everyone is not, just like, everyone's not following your every word, every moment. It's like a little wake up call. But it's also good and refreshing because it means that there's always room to share and reshare. And that's what I've learned down through the years, because then there are folks who were like watching it for the first time. And I was like, my goodness. So my intent has always been that those things that I did reshare become part of my uh, Coffee Time Career Chat library that I can reference and utilize. Meanwhile, there's still a ton of other content that's not in that library that I can be repurposed still for courses or for special content. Doesn't even consider the collabs that I've done, right? So there are collabs that I've done from last year and the year before. So over the last couple of years, there were some very specific collaborations that I did. I'm working on a couple of new ones. Then before that, there were some networking collabs where I was, just reaching out to other small business women, and where we talked about, relationship building and of course building their business and different things like that. So that was its own separate thing. So all of that content still there to be utilized. And then we get to, okay, what's the next thing? And the reminders the little ticklers of, yeah, there's going to need to be a next thing. Because when I would go out, without fail, doesn't matter what I was going to, there would be someone that maybe I knew, maybe I didn't, but they would walk up and be like, "Oh yeah, I watch your lives on LinkedIn, and I really enjoyed them." And I'm like, "You watched what?" I was like, when you don't even know that people are watching you, they are watching you. They are following. That's a whole other conversation, right? When you're having an impact and you don't realize you're having an impact until sometime later and someone tells you, right? And so fast forward to today, this week, it happened again. So I'm like, I should have been keeping track. I haven't been keeping track. Every time someone tells me that, because this time it was actually a young lady who had done some graphic design work for me at one point in time, and I hadn't seen her in forever. We actually had met during the pandemic, so all of that work had been done virtually anyways. But in the context of us reconnecting in person, first of all, for the first time in, what is it, 5 years later, um, she also mentions, yeah, I was watching your stuff. I was watching your, and I'm like, wow. I said, well, it's being revived. I'm using YouTube as my platform. And again, the reminder for why this is necessary, because it wasn't a question of whether what I was doing, whether the content was good. It's a matter about, I think, delivery. And so I'm finessing that, starting fresh, or I won't even say starting fresh, starting, um, restarting with a fresh approach. That's what it is. That's what's fresh. With a fresh approach, and centering YouTube as my platform, so that then I can push it out, because I can still push it all out to those places, LinkedIn, and connect these things up a different way. So that's really what I'm working on and what this has been all about. And being able to pick back up, because I had not been doing live video for well over a year. I do little mini clips or whatever. I that would be my thing. I do three to five clips a week. Um, some with a little bit of topics. Definitely my happy Sundays, videos where I would just check in with folks and share those, but not the long form content that I had been doing. And so this was an opportunity to return to that, but to do it in a way that's structured but not structured, or starting with more less structured, and also upping the quantity, because I was never doing something every day. And I don't know how long that's going to last, right? This is to get to a certain point. So this is all being very strategic with leveraging and revitalizing this channel in such a way that it can be basically like a fresh launch of it. And then I will decide what to do with it after the first 100 days. Then I'll decide how I want to move forward with it. But I also already know, like, I've got a couple of folks lined up for my collab series again, which I'm excited about. I love doing those series, and so there will be a couple of those, and figuring out how to utilize those on this channel or maybe on a different channel. And um, it's just that return, like I said, of picking up where I left off creatively when it comes to long term video, not because doing the videos themselves is new. That's not new. I mean, my goodness, if I go back and figure out, I think at one point I looked at something, I don't know how many of them, it was hundreds of videos that I've already done. But this is, like I said, taking it on a fresh spin. I'm taking the work on a fresh spin, and figuring out how to leverage it more strategically and purposefully, um, to still meet the audience that I want, but in a much broader way. That's really it. Um, and so that's what I'm doing, and that's what it's been. This has been fun, and now having actually an outlet for all those things that pop off in my head that I might have just like talked through and let go, or maybe written a note down. I'm like, oh no, that could be a whole conversation. Let's do that. So that's kind of fun. And recognizing even then that I still haven't hit the real core of this. Like this is just me getting my feet wet again, getting going, and recognizing that I haven't even gotten real comfortable yet. And that's like, whoa, what's it gonna look like when I get to that point? Really being able to provide the impact that I definitely desire by utilizing this platform in this way, and being able to utilize it to launch and continue in the work that I do in supporting, advising, empowering others as they try to get to the next level of who they are and what they want to be. Um, that is, ah, chef's kiss, as they say. Totally excited about that and that opportunity. So there we are. That's how I've got to this point where I left off creatively when it comes to doing video long form, and how I'm getting back on it. I have not officially named this channel yet. I have an idea, and I'm trying to hold off for those first 90 to 100 days before I do it, because I want to make sure it's going in the right direction. But I have some strong tendencies, some strong leanings, because I think it's going to be part of a larger thing. And that's really what I want it to be. I want it to be part of a larger initiative, movement. That's a good word. That was born some years ago and then faltered off just a bit. And then, the pandemic hit, and that really took things out. So it's the opportunity to return to that as well, and see how all of this can fit in so that it makes sense, so that what I have in my head makes sense and gets delivered out. Because the truth of the matter is, whatever you have for you is for you. Whatever you're creating is there, and it will not pass you by. And it doesn't have to make sense to the whole world at the beginning. It only needs to make sense to you. So many great people, programs, projects, initiatives started as this little idea in someone's head that other people probably made fun of them for. I know they did, or they didn't support them, or they treated it like, oh, well, that's a cute little project, before it really took off. And if I have anything I would want to say or share with someone today, is do not let someone else's inability to think big and have a vision affect your vision. Um, that's their business. You go take care of yours. And I think that is a good spot to end on. As we finish up here, I wanted to make sure that you hit the thumbs up and or click subscribe if you haven't already. I could not get that word out. And then also share, if share this out with someone if you feel like there's someone who could utilize hearing these thoughts today. And remember remember to always celebrate you in um, your greatness and everything that you do every day. And we shall talk again tomorrow. Bye.